supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space.
What does it take to convince you that the dead do not always rest in peace?
All right, welcome to the Three Beards Podcast. My name is Craig. Along with me, Chris. We are sans Austin at the moment. This episode is brought to you by Brat's Beard Care. Amazing beard oil made by the man himself, Mr. Kelly Brat, the Willy Wonka of beard oils, who has got himself an army of gnomes who are forced to do his bidding at any time, making these amazing beard oil. But we'll be releasing a little public service announcement and stuff right here. But for every purchase of a signature blend of Three Beard oil, you're going to be able to change the life of one of those gnomes. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. So today we are going to be talking about a little critter known as the Pukwudgie. So now, Chris, I cannot hear you. So I think you were somehow you either muted yourself but I cannot. Yeah, I can't hear you. So come on and join back in. I'll get this one going here. So like I said, we can't hear him, but we can see him, just can't hear him. Anyway, the Pukwudgie, we will start. This is a little known cryptid that it's one of those, I was looking at one of those map charts that talks about some of these cryptids around North America, and this is one of the little known ones that comes from the Northeast up in Massachusetts area. And some Northeast Indiana, we've all had with some of the Indian tribes, they've talked a little bit about this cryptid, and it comes from it was the Wampanoag, the Mohican, and the Algonquin tribes have really talked about a lot of these, and they are, for me, fans. I mean, a lot of people know about this from, and then Harry Potter fans. They've heard the Pukwudgie thing from the houses, but they don't know a lot about the actual creature that it came from. That name. It's quite the little. I said, there's Chris. We've got him back, and we can hear him.
I think the
Nope,
Pukwudgies.
There it is.
I think the Pukwudgies are messing with my thing. But anyways, let's run it.
Okay, it's Indian, North American Indian, not Indian from Asia.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just with the Pukwudgie. I don't think the pronunciation. I think you're thinking of the wrong native Indians, not from over in the Asian continent. This would be our continent, North American.
Are the Pukwudgies?
So the Pukwudgie. Yes. So welcome to the show, Mr. Chris. Glad you could finally get your voice with us.
Yeah,
all right.
Me too.
So, Chris, had you ever, prior to coming up with this, had you ever heard of the Pukwudgie before?
No, not at all. I've never heard of Pukwudgies. And
Pukwudgie.
Pukwudgie.
It's the Pukwudgie.
Pukwudgie. Okay. We had a speech class now. Pukwudgie. Okay.
Yeah,
I got it right. Pukwudgie. Okay.
Well, but they don't like to be made fun of, and they don't like to be harassed because they will come after you.
Yes.
So, as I said, so you might want to work on saying their name correctly.
I know. I mean, I hope they don't have social media. You know, what I mean, because if they did, I'd be all bad.
They have their own street signs. So, they actually, over there near the Freetown National Forest in Massachusetts, they actually put up a Pukwudgie street crossing sign to warn about the crossing for it. Because they said there's been enough sightings over there that the police actually put one up. Was it serious? Was it kind of out of, a little bit of jest? Who knows? But it's one of those. It's one of those funny ones where you see it and you're like, okay, now were they actually serious, or was it something like that they actually, I don't know, I'm not sure, but for the people that don't know anything about this, we'll go through their little thing. Pukwudgie stands for person of the wilderness, and so they are said to inhabit forest and wooded areas, and also bodies of water like a marsh, rivers. And there is an area known. It was coined by a gentleman, and can't seem to find. I want to say it's Loren Coleman is his last name. I can double check that real quick and see if I got that right. But he came up. Yeah, look at me. I got it correct. Loren Coleman. He came up with the term, the Bridgewater Triangle. And what he did is he was really big into cryptids and investigating them. And he came across this and he noticed that there was this area where they really tended to show up in kind of a mass quantity, and it was in this kind of this one certain little area. And so as he went through and did the mapping, it's about 200 square miles of this area, and I'm trying to get the towns here for anybody. I mean,
Is it Freetown? Is it a state park
Freetown.
Located in Fall River? Freetown?
Yeah, Freetown, Rehoboth, and Abington. If I butchered anybody from Massachusetts, if I butchered those town names, I apologize. I'm not from there. But so it's a 200 square foot area, and it features areas like the Freetown State Forest, Profile Rock, Solitude Stone, the Hockomock Swamp. And Hockomock Swamp stands for the place where spirits dwell.
Yeah.
So this is one was known by the tribe area around there as an area that, there's something in the woods. There's spirits. People that have been in this area report, as you're walking, hiking, report here, feeling, everybody has that little tingling in the back of your neck, the hair standing up like you're being watched. They don't see anything, but they know that something's there. They also see orbs, and some, under one of the descriptions, it was 3 orbs that they saw coming to them, and they kept changing colors and moving around. Well, part of the lore of the Pukwudgie is that they would kill Indian tribe members, and they would control their spirits, and those were referred to, I'm going to butcher this, I promise, the Taipai Wonkas. And that's basically, they believed that they were the souls of those tribe members, and that the Pukwudgie controlled them. So in a way, kind of like I don't best way to describe necromancy, like I said, controlling the undead, they were controlling their, well, these little creatures are said in report sightings to be about 2 to 3 feet in height, and some have described them as knee high. Well, I don't know what a knee high measurement is. I mean, a knee high to me is nothing like what a knee high to you is.
Stop trying to be funny. But how do you let a knee high creature lure you off a cliff? Like, hey, I got you. Come here. But they actually lured people off cliffs. They do all kind of little devious things. Like they say they befriend people, and I mean,
This
this
is the
is crazy.
Hakamak,
Looking
like
at
this is Sparta. They just come up and say,
Pukwudgie's.
this is the Hakamak, and they boot you off the cliff. Look
Yeah.
over here, and then they push you. I don't know. Yeah, so they're said to resemble, half human, half troll, with elongate, ears, fingers, and a large nose. And they're even reported to have large bulbous eyes, where some have described them like really green eyes. Kind of think, I guess some of the descriptions, like they said, it's really close like a sugar glider. If you've ever seen one of those, like that kind of eye, just like, almost disproportionate for their face. Little bellies that'll hang down, but their skin is a smooth gray, and they're covered in, it's been described as patches of fur, but it's also been described as quills, quill-like in its nature. And one of the descriptions of them is that they could transform into the form of some animals, and from the back, they look like a extremely gigantic porcupine. So you think about, you're walking in the woods, you see a porcupine stand up. Like I said, I don't know if porcupines stand on their hind legs, but if a porcupine is walking around, could that be a mistake? Somebody sees a porcupine and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, that's I saw a Pukwudgie." You're like, "No, you didn't. You saw a porcupine." No, it is. I don't know. It's yeah, I can't hear you. Yeah. So So that one, could that be some of the description? People saying, maybe they one of the reports that we'll get into of some of the sightings is they're known to beckon someone to come to them.
They have a call.
Well, it's not so much. That's what that guy, and we get into that account. That's what his thing is, like what it said. But he's one of the only ones I've come across that has said anything like they've made a sound like they're trying to communicate. Most of them have been just like the eerie, like you're walking in the street and it's there, or it comes to your house, like looking in the window and knocking on the window, trying to. Unless you're invited in, it's you have to interact with them.
I wish a Pukwudgie would come to my house and knock on my door and be like, "Hey, what you want to get with, 30-06 or 223?" I mean, hey, you Pukwudgie, come to the door. But anyways,
as it jabs you with this little poison spear and then runs off. They are said to have ability to, and this is your moment to shine, Chris. They are a magical creature. They have rudiment. Yes, they have a mysterious magical creature. See, this is your time to shine. Give it a go. You're ready. The floor is yours. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
They're mysterious magical creatures.
There you go. See, there you go. That's a one time. Yeah, it's acceptable.
They can appear and disappear at will. Yeah. I mean, it's like poof, you're here.
So
poof, you're gone.
So it's one of those, like, I'll kind of get it. Like one of the accounts, a lot of these accounts, take it with a grain of salt. They're off Reddit and other places. So, it's not like they're verified, sources. But one of them was they're watching TV, and the kid's sitting there, and he feels somebody, I can't remember if it was messing with his hair or tugging on him. And, he's like, knock it off, stop it. Feels it again. He's starting to get mad. They're trying to watch TV. It happens again. He goes around. He goes around to turn around, yell at to knock it the hell out. And when he does, he turns around and he sees this little old, what looks like a 2-foot grandma back there messing with him. And so he freaks out. He goes run, and watches as that little 2-foot grandma starts walking away. And as soon as she gets to the doorway and touches the handle, she disappears. And so in the story, he goes to his grandma and mentions it. It's like, what happened? And she's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. They're harmless.
Not from what I
So,
studied. They're not very harmless.
yeah. So, so according to, so this is not an uncommon thing. So, yeah, but this is a report like they look like a little man, a little hoggle. For anybody that's ever seen, Labyrinth, they kind of resemble, they said they're talked like a little bit like him, like the big nose and stuff. So I don't know if that was, the inspiration for that character. So that's a reference there for a lot of people. Go check out Hoggle from Labyrinth. But so here you got this 2 to 3 foot tall grandpa, with that shows up and is messing with you when you're trying to watch TV. I mean, it's kind of pretty creepy, and they will attack with little knives, spears,
arrows,
that have poison on them, and they'll use sand to blind you during an attack. So
this is like a magical leprechaun, just throwing sand at you and then poking you with something.
Well, instead of having the benefit of possibly a pot of gold, you're possibly going to catch the business end of a poisoned spear tip
and fall off a cliff because they lured you off the cliff.
Yeah, well, and they're said that they can create fire at will. So that would go to some of the stories of people would be on the other side of a river over there, and they would look over. I think it's the Fall River. I think is that area right there. They would look, and they'd see a fire just pop up on the other side. And one of the sightings is they got on there and they went across, went over there, no sign of a fire anywhere. So they went back to their camp. They looked back over there, and there's this fire raging on the other side of the river again. So, secondhand accounts are, you have to take them obviously with a grain of salt a little bit too on those. But we'll get into kind of the lore behind
arrows.
Yeah,
they're magical arrows.
The Wampanoag tribe, and this is one, everybody. This is kind of their creation story. It starts where they believed in this creator, like creation giant called Maushop. And Maushop was credited by the Wampanoag as he created the Cape Cod area of Massachusetts. And he was beloved by the Wampanoag people. But the Pukwudgie were a jealous, kind of mischievous, race. And they were really jealous of the affection that the Wampanoag people had for Maushop. So they would try to help the Wampanoags, and their efforts always backfired. And they decided, and they ended up tormenting the Pukwudgie as opposed to, befriending him. So the Pukwudgie became mischievous and started doing tricks on it. And what this aggravated the natives, so they went to Maushop's wife, who was known as Granny Squannet. So they asked her for Maushop's help in this. So Maushop gathered as many of the Pukwudgie as he could, and started shaking them. Just started shaking the Pukwudgie. And as they were confused, he took them and tossed them all over New England. Yeah, so so just imagine, you got Pukwudgie raining from the sky, landing everywhere. You can't, and then as most of them died through this process of being shook and thrown across state lines. But the others landed and regained their minds and made their way back to Massachusetts. Well, as you can imagine, Pukwudgie were not too happy about this. They were a little bit displeased, if not, revenge-minded. So I think this comes from where the lore is that they went from being former friends of humans to adversarial. And so I would say, they, when it comes to this, when I first looked in this, I was a little bit like, okay, I'm not sure if I believe in this one, but this one, I mean, this is a little side note on the, when you start getting into something that Indian tribes have passed, Indian tribes, ancient cultures have passed on what they, what they would, see, so you're thinking if you've got this many cultures that are sharing on stories and they all have these things about little people, Irish, leprechauns, gremlins, goblins, there's across the thing. So what is the chances that everybody just had that creative person in their tribe that just made up something about a little creature, but this went across the world with all these people? They all had this ability to create, just create this little creature that would do. So I'm kind of a believer that this might have been something that used to be around, and this has been passed down for more than like our recorded history. I mean, we're talking thousands of years. This could have been something that did exist, and it's been passed down from tail to tail. Yeah.
Very well. Very well could have exist, but maybe some of these stuff intertwine in their own way that maybe people called them different things. I mean, maybe it was a trickful creature in another culture, but they came up with their own name, not a Pukwudgie, but maybe it was a different, same creature but different name. Because there's been sightings of different creatures all over the world, but everybody gives them their own name. If you don't speak English or you speak Arabic or native language or something, and you see this animal, you're gonna be like, I don't know what it is. Let's call it Akamakoshus. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, just call it something, I mean, he's killing people, he's dragging people in the grass, in the high tall grass, shooting them with a magical arrow. I don't know. Let's just call him something, but we'll figure out a name for him.
Now we've got Mouse Shop coming around, gathering them all up and shaking them senseless, and then chucking them all over the continent. And so, so they come back. So Mouse Shop, satisfied he's done his job and pleased his wife, so he decided, I've done enough. I'm going to take a break. So he went away for a while. In his absence, this is when the Pukwudgies have decided now is their time. They've come back, and then they now, like I said, they're adversarial against the Wampanoags. They begin kidnapping their children, burning villages, and forcing the Wampanoag deep in the woods and killing them. And so this is where they've become not just a trickster to now this is an actual predator, something to fear. And so now Granny Squannet is now having to step in again, but Mouse Shop wasn't into it this time. He didn't feel like shaking him a second time. So he was, according to this legendary, he was being lazy. So he sent 5 of his sons to fix the problem. Well, the Pukwudgie lured them into the deep grass and shot them dead with their magic arrows. So enraged, Granny Squannet and Mouse Shop attacked as many as they can find and crushed them. But some escaped and scattered throughout New England again. Well, the Pukwudgies regrouped and now tricked Mouse Shop into the water and shot him with their arrows. Well, some legends say that they killed him, while others say he became so discouraged with his efforts against the Pukwudgie that just shaking him, wasn't doing the trick, and depression about the death of his sons. But at this point, Mouse Shop is no longer part of the Wampanoag tribe's mythology. He just disappears. So
do you think that he realized that maybe it was unexplainable to him? Maybe there was a killer and he just credited the Pukwudgie. He just credited his thing of Pukwudgie, so he just backed out of the tribe altogether. Because if these creatures are as violent as they say they are, they probably wouldn't have just left him alone because they had it out for him. He shook them up. So these creatures don't seem very forgiving. They do a lot of crazy. So
that's the thing. So here you have have this part, here's this creature that's kidnapping people and killing them. Well, that's in. I'm trying to bring up that guy. That maybe you could find it. What's his name? The guy that's actually had the sighting that talked about the call. Because you said he actually said they were talking about a conversation. I'm trying to bring him up and find out where here it's. I apologize. I'm not finding him. But anyway, there's lots of these places like the Hockomock Swamp back there in the Bridgewater Triangle. This one was a heavily worshipped area. They found many artifacts. So this is something that's not just hey, we came across this piece of land, we like this thing. This was revered. And many paranormal investigators and stuff that have gone out in this way, they've seen orbs. They've heard sounds. They've documented, a lot of things that, movement, could be an animal, could be not, but it's one of those things that some of the stuff that they've heard. But I mean, to me, one of the stories, once again, it's a Reddit account, but it was a guy, he was home alone. I want to say he was a younger teenager, like 16 or 17. He went down, he took his glasses off, went downstairs to get something. His dog was still upstairs. He heard a sound behind him, like the dog, like a dog's nails when they come across, tile, flooring. And he turned around, and here was this, like he said, 2 to 3 foot, tall, little hairy creature, just standing there, not saying anything. And just like everybody said, like you said, it's like, all right, I'm going to get the guy, do something like that. But when you make contact with them, you look at them, they will either vanish at that point, or they'll go somewhere and just disappear, and then you can't see them. So, you go running through the door, you open up the door, there's nothing there. They've vanished.
I mean,
and then
how is that? I do, like I said, I do believe in magic. That's why we touch on these subjects. But like with all the new technology, we talked about this even with the Bigfoot episode. With all this new technology, I don't know any new sightings of it. I haven't heard any other new sightings of Pukwudgie in the last about 15 years. Am I correct? So I don't know,
yeah, I haven't seen anything where it was something, like fairly newer ones. And I found that guy. His name is Russo. So his name is Bill. He goes by Bill Russo, and he had a run-in with this one. So basically, how his story kind of goes is he's been working long hours, and he feels bad for his dog, and so he starts, and he wants to go out and he wants to take this dog out for walk. So they decide to go out for a walk, and they go a direction on one of these walks that they don't normally go. So he's walking down this dark road, and it's illuminated with this lamp, and as he sees there, he sees this little about he said about 3 foot or so creature kind of come out into that that lighted area and stand there and beckon him to come over that way. Well, this is the part where, like, for me, during this story, I'm like, no, but he goes closer to it. So I'm like myself, some strange creature comes out in the street lamp. I'm not walking closer to it like, hey, what are you? I'm more like, yeah, I'm kind of backing away, because his dog is a Rottweiler. I think it's a Rottweiler German Shepherd mix, and this dog wants nothing to do with that. So when you have a big dog wanting to leave, yeah, I don't know why you're not trusting your animal.
animals are more fearless than humans. So
Yeah.
when the dog tucks his tail and he turns around, I think it's time for me to tuck my tail.
Yeah, and that. So
we gonna
at
get out
that
of here.
point, he said, he gives the same description that most people had. Smooth skin, looked like it was covered in some hair. But I don't have in front of me right here what he said that it was saying to him, but he basically, the words that he said when he got home later and thought about it, he thought it was trying to say, come here, come with me, type beckoning. And that's kind of the story, is that they entice you to come with them, and that's when they lead you out into the forest and do the thing, do their stuff.
Shoot you with a magical arrow.
Yeah.
Arrow.
Get you with their poison spear. Yeah, that's So did he make the right choice? I don't know. I mean, maybe he followed him. We would know more about the Pukwudgie, or we would just he would have been, yeah,
or not.
But some of the legend, with the legends, like, so I don't know if it's a way of people to make up, an excuse for suicides, because there's several cliffs around there, so people have jumped off of them. There's been deaths surrounding these things. I don't know if the Pukwudgie is a convenient kind of excuse for it, but I'm not sure. I know, as I was in one of the other stories that it's kind of freaky, and a lot of people have talked about it, but this one, they saw a Pukwudgie outside the window, and so they turn around, like to do some stuff, and then they look right back out the window and it's gone. Well, all of a sudden they hear a knock on the window behind them, and there's that same creature staring through that window at them. So they run to the other side of the house, and they think it's like, oh God, oh God, oh God, and all of a sudden they hear that, and they look out the window, and there it is again, with those big eyes, like they described them, large bulbous eyes, with green, looking through the window again. So I mean, you think, here's this thing that kind of looks like half man, half troll, with only we could, they didn't really describe much, like if it had weapons or anything on it, but you think, here's this troll looking like creature peering through the window at you in the middle of the night. What do you do? It's no matter where you're going in the house, it's coming, it's following you around the house, knocking on the windows in the area that you're in.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, with some of the new high-grade drugs they have now, you would think people would see amazing sight. They must have had some really high grade back then. I don't know what's going on, but Pukwudgie.
Yeah. So you hear some of these tales, and are they people that are just watching, and they're coming up with their own ghost story? But I mean, a lot of people describe in different details same features. Some say that they look like they're wearing little furry, like furry boots, but I'm thinking it's different. It's different little, patches of hair, because everybody, it's just like you and me. I'm a little more balding up here. Everybody's going to have different hair patterns. So, that would explain some of the differences where somebody said, well, this one didn't really have as much hair. It was more on the back and the feet. So I could think that, and kind of back to what we were talking about a little earlier, it's the same way, kind of like humanity. If you think about it, we're all different areas around the world. We all have different traits. We all have different stuff. So what if these are all connected? What if this is like a subspecies of that type of, so like the leprechauns, what if the Pukwudgie and the leprechaun are related? But just like humans, obviously
They have different traits.
You take somebody from the deep jungles, Congo and stuff, still humanity, but look at the difference between them and somebody that lives in mainland China.
They look completely different.
Same species, both human, but they look completely different. So what if this is the same thing? You have a leprechaun and a Pukwudgie are the same species. It's just become of the geographic area, the environment, they look completely different and have different traits, have different activities. So I don't know. It could be. I mean, like I said, it seems like every culture around the world has some story about a little small creature of some sort, so we'll get into one of these episodes coming up too, called about the Fae, fairies and goblins. We'll get into some of these things. And I think this is one of those type of creatures. Do I believe myself that if you go walking out in Massachusetts, you're going to get hit with a little porcupine looking half troll, half man and get, poked in the butt with a poison tip spear? I don't know, but it's one of those things. Can I say it doesn't exist? No, because I'm a believer. I want to believe. I got it right back here. See, it's right there. I want to believe. I'm a fan of this one. I mean, I saw it. I was just looked silly, but then as I looked into it, I really, really liked this creature, and I'm kind of a fan. And I'm more of those ones. Like I said, don't be surprised if you don't see something back here, with a picture of a Pukwudgie sometime, because this is kind of come to been one that I actually really like how this looks. And so I don't know. You decide for yourself. Do you want to go to the Bridgewater Triangle and try your luck and see if you can come across a Pukwudgie, or, if anything, you're going to come across some orbs. It sees sounds, and I myself, I think it would be a pretty interesting little trip. So I think if I ever make it up that way, I might go down over there in the Freetown area
and try to find Pukwudgie.
Yeah, just if anything, just hike around the woods there, for a little bit and see what you can find, because there's lots of reports. One of the craziest ones is, large oversized snakes have been reported out there. What they said, the size of a stovepipe. I don't. Some of these descriptions, I don't. Is there like a standardized length for a stovepipe? The knee high measurements. Like I said, your knee high and mine are completely different.
But you got to think of the culture. You got to think of the cultural people of Indians, tribes. The average.
They didn't have stovepipes.
I'm just saying, as you're saying, knee high. You got to think of the average Indian height a person, maybe 5'4", 5'5", maybe 5'4", 5'6". So knee high would be. Why are you trying to be funny? My height, knee high. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't going to say it, but all right, yeah, there. All right, everybody. Well, that is the Pukwudgie. So we please leave comments. Ask us anything. We'll answer them off air, obviously, and any further information. Where is Austin is not with us today. I'm not sure. He wasn't able to make it. So Alex, apologize. We were not able to have the Vikings commentary on today. So we've got, and it's one of those. I'm a fan. I like it, and hopefully we'll share some pictures. I had some of them on Instagram. We'll share some more as we go. And so this episode was brought to you by Broad's Beard Care. Premium beard oil made especially by Kelly Brott for you. So go check him out at broadsbeardcare.com. Support. He's a great person. He makes amazing all natural products. I said I really highly, all jokes aside, like when we're kidding around, it's just help him out. He's a local craftsman. He does amazing products. All of us like it. Go to broadsbeardcare.com. Use promo code 3beards. You're going to save 20% off your entire order, and he always has free shipping on no matter what you have. And we've got our own signature blend now. So if you buy a bottle of that, not only are you helping Kelly, you were also supporting us at the same time. And trust me, we really appreciate you for that. So go to broadsbeardcare.com. Check him out. Nanny Cakes. Go to Nanny Cakes 407 on Facebook. Message her. She's in the Central Florida area. I don't know where. I can't find the overlay that tells me her phone number, and I can never remember. So we're just not even going to worry about that this time. And then go check us out on YouTube. please subscribe, share us, get, some people in your life that need some beards in their lives. So why not share us with them?
I think Pukwudgie needs some. Maybe we can go find a Pukwudgie and give him some.
Go throw some sample bottles around in the woods and see what happens. Yeah. So Instagram, we're on there. Twitter, all Three Beards Podcast. Go check us out there. Facebook, please like and share the program and get that out to your people. And guys, everybody, we're also on patreon.com/Three Beards Podcast. Look in there. We've started out the Patreon. That's a good way to help support us there. It's real easy. Just click one of the levels, and then that's automatically thinking that just supports us as well. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. We will be back on Sunday for another show. And next Wednesday, I'm just going to tease this one. Max Hawthorne, author of Chronos Rising. So if anybody that's a fan of that one, tune in for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about underwater, sea creatures and monsters. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. So everybody, thank you again. Have a great night. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you later. Good night.